Welcome to the astrology for the week of October 22nd through the 28th of 2023. This week we have so much going on, including a beautiful Venus trine to Jupiter, which brings an enthusiasm and good vibes. We also have the Sun and Mercury in trine to Saturn. And so this makes us very logical and very practical and very pragmatic. Not to mention the lunar eclipse that we have coming up on October 28th, where we can really put our peace foot through the door, focusing on material pleasures, and it's really going to be a wrap up of what we've been working with since January of 2022, when the lunar nodes originally moved into Taurus and Scorpio. So, as you can tell, there's a lot this week. But before I get into it, I do want to introduce myself. I'm Everett Curdy, and I would encourage you right now to hit the little bell to get notified on my latest videos, but also click that like button because it gets this content out to more people who would be interested in astrology. So every single week I look at the astrological energies that contain themselves within that week. And some of the information that I may be describing might not resonate with me, but it might resonate for somebody else. It might make sense for someone else who is listening with their particular life situation going on right now. I know for me personally, I'm at home living with my parents, so there's not a whole lot going on in my life right now. So but for those who get out there who, have a job, who, do those kind of things like that, then maybe parts of what I am describing will resonate with them more and make more sense for them and pertain to them more. So, delving into this week, we begin on October 22nd. On October 22nd, there is going to be an exact trine from Mercury to Saturn. So Mercury is in Scorpio, and Saturn is in Pisces. Mercury, right as it enters Scorpio, it makes a trine with Saturn immediately. And I'm going to discuss Mercury in Scorpio later on in this video, but this is the first notable aspect of the week. So Mercury is our thinking planet. It's the planet of communication. It is all about intellectualizing life. It's about how you put your thoughts into words, how you articulate the information that's being presented to you, how you go about your life, thinking, planning, strategizing, communicating. That's all Mercury ruled. Now, Saturn is very comfortable in Virgo because Mercury rules Virgo, and Saturn is all about structure. It's a very rigid energy. It puts boundaries up. It's about really creating long-term structures and working really hard towards the goals that you are achieving, which will have results for a long term. And I brought this metaphor up before that if you're building a building, it's not going to be there for a week or 2 days. You're building it so that it can stand, that it can be there for a long time. Otherwise, why are you putting so much work into it? Why are you disciplined and persistent with what the work that you need to do? Well, because you are creating a structure. You're creating a building that is going to be up for, some time, a long period of time. I know in my hometown, because I live in Indianola, Iowa, starting in 2019 and then over the course of the pandemic, the people in the square rebuilt the town square building. So they put a lot of work into that. They got their machines out and all those kind of things like that. So that is just the example that they want to give. But whatever building structure, like Rome or the Eiffel Tower or the Taj Mahal or those big structures, or just the White House, or like government buildings, any building whatsoever, requires you to have patience, requires you to have a hard work ethic, and consistently put that hard work in to build that long-term structure. So you can't build Rome in a day. Rome is not, a fly-by-night thing. It takes step by step by step, brick by brick, little by little, bit by bit, and then you have your long-term reward, basically, at the end. So Saturn deals with the long-term structures, those kind of, things like that. And actually, I discussed the meaning of the planet Saturn in astrology in a video that I did on this planet. So if I remember to do so, I will link it below, because right now I'm currently doing a series of videos on my channel where I'm taking Saturn through each of the 12 zodiac signs, and I've done signs Aries through Leo up to this point. And I'm going to do a video on Saturn in Virgo on my channel tomorrow. That would be Sunday the 22nd. So when Mercury is in trine with Saturn, this is great for any kind of detailed work. So anything that involves crossing the I's and dotting the T's, banking, accounts, billing, Excel spreadsheets, anything that involves putting your mind and your mental focus on some particular thing, and where you are making sure that that thing is getting done efficiently and effectively in the way that it should be done. So work that involves your cognitive mind to focus on it, like building something, or accounting, or I don't know, writing a report, anything like that that involves paying attention to details. Like if you're taking classes and you have to write a paper or something like that, that involves details. So this is a really productive energy for that kind of work. Now, October 22nd, there's a lot going on this day. There's a lot of conflicting energies going on. So I'm going to try to break it down so that you can understand these energies separately but together. So any work that involves attention to detail is great. So you may have a very, very strong sense, a black and white sense of logic. Yes or no? Is this logical? Is this practical? Is this feasible? Is this going to work? Is this going to give me the results that I so need and crave? Or is this going to just fall like you're building a house of bananas? Well, you can't build a house of bananas because you can't build with bananas. So we can be very logical with this particular trine. During this particular trine, our minds are very pragmatic. They are very focused on what makes sense and what doesn't, what works and what does not work, what will stand high in the sand and what won't. First of all, you try to build a glass castle, and how will that work out for you? You try to build something, in the desert. Well, the desert, is a very dry, hot environment, and certain things wouldn't work. Like the desert does not have a huge amount of water in it. It's completely dry. Um, so these kinds of things. And I mean, they may seem like silly, examples, but anyway, they are more logical in terms of, well, I didn't even know what I'm saying right now. But so anyway, our sense of logic on this particular day and around this particular time is very, very heightened. And we know what has to get done, and we're going to logistically and pragmatically see how we can approach what we need to do in our life. So another part of this is mental discipline and clear headedness. So we're very clear headed. Again, it goes back to logic. And we understand that things take time. We can use this to, in a mentally disciplined way, control ourselves, put up a boundary, say no to what does not work for us, say yes to what will work for us, and with discipline and with staying the course of something, we can achieve something. So we can be efficient and responsible when it comes to the things that we need to do. So we are finding the best, most effective, most solid way of approaching what we need to do. And we're doing it with quality. We're not just laying, we're not just dumping the sauce into the pan. We're spooning it, we're taking our time, we're putting the sauce into the pan little by little. We're not throwing it on the pasta. We are coating the pasta nicely. We're treating the pasta with care. Like we care about something. And when we care about something, we can really achieve a lot of high quality with it. We can really, if we value something, then we're going to care for it, then we're going to protect it. We're going to be loving and sparing and respectful and aware of that thing in a way where we aren't just going to make a stupid choice. So both the Mercury trine Saturn and Sun trine Saturn, I'm putting these two together a little bit because another thing that they have in common is that these two energies, especially this one, are good for communication. Mercury with elders, Saturn. Saturn rules over traditions. It rules over structures that have been in place and stay work a long time. Saturn rules over history, the sequence of events and their significations and how they led up to the present day. And so people who have lived a long time, and with age comes wisdom. The more you grow and the more you live, the wiser and the more experienced you become. Like it's a good opportunity to communicate and connect with people who have been around the block before. So connecting with elders, I would say anyone who has sort of gone through their Saturn return, their second Saturn return from 58 to 60, older than that. So anyone from their 58 to 60 Saturn return and older would be a good person to reach out and seek counsel and seek advice from during this time, because they may have some insights and some advice and some suggestions and some wisdom to offer up to you. And what you decide to do with that wisdom is entirely your choice. You can, lead a horse to water, but you cannot expect that horse to drink the water. So, listening to these elders and what they are saying, and there's more of a respect for elders, and just connecting with them, that they have experiences, that they have some advice and some, like, this is, if I were you, this is what I would do. Like, they've experienced certain things, they've done a lot of things in their life to where they have this wisdom that we can reach across the aisle and integrate into our lives at this time. So, another theme with the Mercury trine Saturn energy is becoming your own boss and inner authority, not relying on the external reality to define authority, but coming from a place of inner authority where we're in charge of our own destiny. We are the center of our universe, and we are taking the lead of our life and directing it in a very confident and very self-focused way. Now, this trine is not unconventional, it's very conventional. So when we go by the book, when we follow universal laws, when we do things in that proper order that is by the book, and the way that things have always been done, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so doing things in that by the book traditional, following the rules, we may find that we want to follow the rules, or we want to find the book, or we find blessings from the universe when we do follow the rules and go by the book. So, when it comes to doing whatever you need to do, basically. And then this is also great for establishing any kind of long-term goals. Goals that are, that you're going to take a lot of time to achieve, or the results of those goals are going to be basically, lasting for quite a long time. And they're going to have long-term results. Now, another notable aspect on October 22nd is a Venus trine Jupiter. And some of you are wondering by this point, what does a trine mean? Well, a trine is when two planets are 120 degrees away from each other. One is in a sign, and another planet is in 4 signs after or before. So let's take the fire signs, for example. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius together trine each other because they're all in the same element. So the trine in astrology is probably as good as you can get in terms of positive aspects. Sextiles and conjunctions being secondary to trines. If we were to put all the aspects on pecking order of which are the most fortunate and favorable, and which are the most difficult and the most malefic. And so the trine in astrology, I think that we really need to understand this very, very well and very efficiently, because while it is an aspect of flow, while the energies are harmonious and easy, and there's good fortune, there's an ease that comes with the trine, there's positive energies, it's a very comfortable energy. So While that is going on, we can take for granted the gifts and the opportunities and the talents that we have based off of, let's say, Venus was trining Neptune in our natal charts. We may not see those gifts and talents, but other people may see those gifts and talents that are external to us. Maybe. I don't want to make any assumptions on that. However, when it comes to a trine, we may take for granted, the talents that we have, the good things about the trine, where we just expect the luck and good fortune and the ease to just show up any time, where we forget the value of hard work, where we forget the value of something to strive for in our lives. So when we have a trine, the two planets are in synchronicity with each other. They're after the same thing. They're basically having the same goals and the same motives, and they want the same things because we're talking about two signs in the same element, or two planets in the same element. So yeah. So that is just, something to bear in mind with trines, as a little astrology food for thought there. But overall, trines are pretty positive. So this particular trine presents good times, good times. It presents just a really wonderful energy for just good times. There's an optimism here. There's an enthusiasm that comes with any positive aspect to Jupiter. Brings expansion and growth and enthusiasm and a hopeful vision for the future and what we want to, how we want to expand and grow in our lives. So we have a generally positive outlook when we're talking about positive aspects to Jupiter, especially a trine. So this is great for having fun, for throwing parties, for socializing, because we're talking about Jupiter, which is a social planet, and Venus is a personal planet, and Venus also is the planet of relationships. So this is good for having parties, throwing parties, spending time with friends, socializing, where you're feeling more open-minded towards socializing, open to learning from people, open to having conversations from people. Eating good food, indulging in good food could also be another part of the trine from Venus to Jupiter, because Venus and Jupiter are the two benefic planets. And when they get together, your appetite, your sensual appetite, your sensory oriented appetite just grows, and you want to eat food, you want to indulge, you really want to eat this life alive. Read all these books on a subject that you suddenly feel passionate about. Watch the series that you've been dying to watch. Travel to this place that you've been dying to go to. You see, the thing about Jupiterian energy is it is the opposite of same old Gemini energy, small communities, short distance travel, and Jupiter energy, like Gemini energy, does not want to be bored. So stimulating yourself, having fun with life during this time where you're not bored, and you are making the most of life, and you're having fun and keeping yourself stimulated. So this trine could also be great for buying good things, buying nice things. You may find that your appetite for certain material pleasures and good things just increases during this particular time. So You may eye something that looks good in the store, and you may want to buy it. And because it's a trine, by all means, if you have the money, buy that nice thing that you've been looking at for such a while and you wanted to buy, whether it be a new car or a hat or a purse or a book, whatever it may be. It's a good opportunity to spend your money and buy nice things. So accepting requests from people is also great. They're extending their generosity, their open-heartedness to you, and can you receive the love? Can you receive the generous energy that they are giving to you, basically? So you may find that during this energy, you're more enthusiastic, you're more open-minded. And so you feel like giving, you feel like opening up your heart during this time, potentially. You may feel like opening your heart chakra up, giving, receiving love, whatever, receiving all the love languages that exist in the world. So you could be feeling more open and generous. So, and it's a good time to relax and enjoy life's pleasures. So maybe the relaxation can be the working and the putting to work. So while this transit may not be good for detailed work and getting down to business, you have Mercury trine Saturn to thank for that. So maybe you can find fun and pleasure in what you're doing, in your work, or you can be pretty darn logical when it comes to your interactions with others. Who knows how the two events play together. But so, so yeah, enjoying the pleasures of life, basically. Now, on the same day as this Mercury trine Jupiter energy is going on, Mercury changes sign. So, Mercury enters Scorpio on Sunday the 22nd, and it's going to be there until November 10th. So, you want to take a look at where you have planets or points in Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius. If you have your Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, your midheaven, or your ascendant in those signs that I just listed, you're really going to be impacted significantly under the Mercury in Scorpio transit. So, delving into what this actually means. When Mercury is in Scorpio, we dig deep. We're not interested in superficial matters. We're not interested in what lies beyond the surface. We really want to dig deep. We want to investigate. We want to get to the bottom of things. We want to find the root core, the absolute truth of what we are examining, what we're looking at. So this becomes, great energy for investigating and researching and asking questions and really digging deep to find the truth of mysteries, like really uncovering the mysteries of life, finding the answers to the mysteries of life during this particular time is also wonderful to do that. So our thoughts become more profound, more intense. Our thoughts become super obsessive during this time, so we can have an obsession that we can get sort of carried away with if we're not being mindful. And it's hard to let things go. We have a desire when our mind is locked onto something that we are obsessed about, something that we're passionate about, and there is no stopping us from attaining that thing or uncovering that mystery or getting to the root of whatever we want to dig out of. We want to, it's like we're squeezing an orange and we want to squeeze out all the juice of that orange until it is left dry. We want to squeeze out every last bit of substance from that orange during Mercury in Scorpio. And not only do we want to squeeze out the juice of that one orange, probably, but we also want a whole factory of oranges. So that could be just kind of something, food for thought there. So, yeah, so getting to the bottom note, with Mercury and Scorpio, analyzing, doing a deep psychological analysis on ourselves and on everybody else around us. Finding the root of, we want something truthful. We want something real and raw and primal and down to the bottom note. Like, I don't care how you're feeling superficially. I don't care what you're showing me. How do you feel really? How are you feeling really? Like, what is going on in that still mountain or volcano inside of you? Are you feeling calm, or are you cooking and simmering and you're about to erupt like Mount Vesuvius? So, like, how are you feeling deeply? So, contemplating these deeper things is a huge part of Mercury in Scorpio. So probing into things. Our communication style, likewise, because Mercury rules communication, becomes more intense and powerful. We really mean what we say. It's like what we say is like a knife that cuts right through that butter. So there's also a need with Mercury in Scorpio for deep conversations, be it about a relationship or something emotional. Having a conversation about the current OCD that you are getting over. Maybe it's having a conversation about what actually is your sex. As you can tell, I'm listing sort of, things that people want to hide under the carpet. Because with Mercury in Scorpio, there can be an interest in the occult, in the taboo topics. So, deep conversations during this time can really play out onto the grand scheme of life. So, um, what are those deep conversations that basically have to occur? Well, now's the time to have those conversations. There's really no better time because Mercury in Scorpio gives us the ability to see beyond the superficial and to want to investigate beyond that point. We're not interested in music or people or whatever it may be that may be superficial. We want to have deep conversations on what's really going on with that person's psychology. Why did they do this? Why is this person acting this way? Why is this person in power doing this thing? All these kind of deep, matters that we're investigating that, like basically, you can try to hide something, but you can run, but you can't hide, basically. So all that is hidden and revealed might get pulled up for healing, might get looked at, and acknowledged and examined and studied over the course of Mercury in Scorpio. So it's a really introspective transit, a self-analysis into our thoughts and words, of asking ourselves, why do we do what we do? Why do we think what we think? Basically, um, like why? Why? I'm not going to go on. It's trying to pull substance out of that. But so anyway, alrighty. So our words carry more weight during this time. So we say something that really speaks volumes. It's very profound. Alrighty, so we've talked about that, and then the other thing is the sun entering Scorpio on October 23rd. Now, happy birthday to all the Scorpios out there. It is your month, your season, and I really wish you all the best. So, when it comes to the sun being in Scorpio, the sun basically its job basically is to illuminate whatever it touches. It shines the light, and it's how we need to sort of source our power and move about our life. And the focus for those 30 days, it looks at what the sign is really about. It's very simple. It's very simple. How we need to express ourselves in our lives based off of what sign the sun is transiting through. I mean, it's as simple as that. But Scorpio is nothing. I mean, it's everything but simple. So our passions are lit up. We become more attuned to what we're passionate about, our desires, whatever those desires may be. This is the time of healing and transformation, letting die what doesn't work for us. If there's anything that we know doesn't work, that we know is not serving for us, we can really do some deep shadow work and let ourselves feel those deep emotions and feel those emotions that are very deep so that we can release them, or whatever transformation that you may need to undergo. The classic Scorpio metaphor is like the caterpillar out of the butterfly. And I feel like I've heard this so many times and I keep bringing it up over and over again. The cocoon eats a lot and then it, you know, devours itself in its cocoon and then emerges as a miraculous butterfly. In the cocoon is where you're doing the purging, the releasing, the transformation. So, we can become really powerful when we transform into an evolved being. And this kind of transformation, this phoenix rising out of the ashes, is the main focus for Scorpio season. So this also is a great time for delving deep into the mysteries of life and our immediate environment. So getting to the root of what's really going on here. So going into the depths of our soul and our psychology as well is also something to spend the whole Scorpio season in that process doing. Now, on October 24th, the sun is trining Saturn. So this transit is good for getting something done, any kind of persistent and determined efforts, where we're determined on to getting something accomplished and checked off of our bucket list. So we may be more patient when it comes to following through on our goals, where we understand that, again, Rome is not built during the day, so we can become more steadfast and more willing to put in the hard work and more ambitious, and our work ethic is really just turned up with the sun trine Saturn. So this transit, just like the Mercury trine Saturn, is good for having conversations with elders. And so we may find ourselves being more responsible during this time to get done what we need to get done in our lives. And maybe to get done what we need to get done in order to have what we want, basically. So we can find that we have a higher level of spiritual maturity And when I say that word, and when I hear that word, and when I read that word, I just, there's something about that frequency that is, it's like, the truth that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear, basically. So, spiritual maturity in the physical 3D reality can be turned up. So, there is a greater respect now for authority and superiors in authority, of traditional structures, of governments, of institutions, of all those kind of things, which can be very good because it does not bring about a transit that can propel a lot of rebellion or all those kind of things. So we're basically having this opportunity where we can respect and pay homage and have some appreciation for authority figures and superiors and those authority figures in our lives. So we can be productive, we can follow the rules, we can do what we need to do, we can fall in line with what we need to do, and we can put in the hard work that we need to do. So we can be pretty thorough when it comes to the work that we need to do, putting a lot of quality into that. We can also be pretty strategic about what is the step, basically, what am I going to do at this stage in the game at this time? What's going to work at this time and in this place? So yeah, we're more strategic. And another sort of aspect of this is about making changes that we need to. Like maybe we have not committed to the goals that we said that we were going to commit to. Maybe we have not been, doing the practice that is a spiritual practice that we have said to ourselves that we would do this, and we haven't done it. Well, now is the time to follow through with those promises and with those goals that you have said that you are going to do and keep thinking and keep talking about. But now it is time to actually do the meditation, pull the oracle cards, get the work done, do that walk in nature every day, drink more water like you said that you were going to drink, cut down on sugar like you said that you were going to cut down on sugar. So, like the thing with Saturn is that it only gives you a green light if you actually do the thing that you said that you were going to do, because Saturn's all about the results. It's all about, okay, you've said this, you've said that you were going to do it, and you haven't done it. So, boom, that I can't excuse you for that. Like Saturn is a, kind of a tough cookie. It's a, kind of it is an energy that is expecting you to do the work. And if you don't do the work, then what is the whole point of the goal that you set out for yourself to do? Well, it's non-existent if you don't do the work. So Saturn is about action. So maybe you need to put some limitations and some boundaries where you're going to do this, you're going to put this boundary up, and you're going to follow through with a plan or practice that again, so follow through with it. Saturn does not want you to just walk halfway to the store and turn around. You're going to the store, you're buying the groceries, you're checking them out, and then you're going back home. Like you're doing the whole thing. You're doing the whole entire thing. You're following it through to completion. That's what this energy is all about. So maybe you're doing things that can help you be more productive. Like maybe it's a walk in nature, or whatever it may be for you, that where you feel more productive. and you feel more motivated to be more productive after doing that thing. Use time wisely. Time is finite. So make the most of, and consider how we're using our time. How we are using our time and making sure that we're spending our time in the best, most productive, most possible, and most efficient way. So, on October 26th and 27th, the moon is in Aries, and I just want to touch on this really, really quickly before getting to the Mac Daddy of the week. So the moon in Aries, the moon is in Aries. The moon is very primal in Aries. Our emotions become more volatile, more impulsive. We're feeling more assertive. And it's that time of the month where you can initiate things and basically start over, start something brand new. And go after what you need and want, assert yourself in your life with what you need and want, basically. So, now getting to the transits for the single day, the single Saturday of October 28th. There's a lot going on Saturday the 28th. It's going to take another huge part of this video to go through. So Mercury, first of all, is opposing Jupiter in Taurus. So Mercury is doing its thing in Scorpio, and Jupiter is doing its thing in Taurus. So maybe we could lose sight of the bigger picture. We can get caught up in the little details of things where we're not seeing the forest for the trees. Too caught up in the little details, or it's the exact other way around, where we see the big picture, but we're not paying attention to the little details. Like we have these great ideas and these visions and these wonderful things that we want to do and these promises that we make to ourselves and others. Yet, where's the substance? Where's the follow through? Where does the rubber have to hit the road? To where we have these great ideas, but can you fact check them? We have these great ideas that we write down on paper, but let's actually go through and proofread the paper and do all the details. We have these great ideas, but how are we actually going to achieve them and manifest them in real form? This is the conversation that is taking place with Mercury in an opposition to Jupiter. So Mercury is moving one way in Scorpio, Jupiter is moving a different way in Taurus, but we want to blend the two energies together to find the sweet spot of integration between them and where we can basically take the two separately and we want to put them together. We want to perform the marriage of Mercury in Scorpio and Jupiter in Taurus. So, Mercury opposite Jupiter. This is good for future planning, like if you're future placing or planning for the future, any projects or goals or new job that you want to have, or a vacation that you're going on, whatever resides in the future. This is great energy for learning any Mercury Jupiter, alignment. Mercury is the small mind, the sort of day-to-day, activities. And Jupiter is the higher mind. It rules things like religion and philosophy and higher education and these big, broad subject matters. And so it's great for learning new things. But we are talking about an opposition here. So the downside of this opposition is, ready? Biting off more than you can chew. Thinking that you can do this and that, and you've started this thing over here, you've started that thing over there, and you've scattered yourself. You have thrown too many balls in too many directions. It is time to focus your energy. It is time to focus. And you can use Mercury and Scorpio to really, really focus in on what are the goals that you want to achieve. And I'm single-minded towards I'm on this path and I'm going to reach it to completion. So we may have so many balls that we're juggling and so many ideas and so many plans and so many projects that we started, but where is the commitment? Where is the substantial follow through? Where is the focus to one or two of those plans? So less is more. We can put more into those we have only a few plans, and we can put more emphasis and more time, energy, life force, effort into those plans. Whereas if we have so many plans, then we're putting less effort and quality into the many, many plans that we have. So what is it that you want? Do you want to start all these, because you do have the freedom to decide if you want to start so many projects and you don't want follow through and you want the quality to be lacking, um, or do you want the quality to be excellent of these particular projects or things that you started? So you're focusing your energy on these two things over here. So, it's mindful of considering how many balls that you want to juggle. And can you juggle all those balls, or do you need to eliminate some of those balls out from your life? So, biting off more than you can chew, thinking that you can do more than you can do is one of the sort of negatives of this opposition. Um, Greed, wanting more and more and more and more because Jupiter energy just wants to grow itself. It just wants to grow bigger and bigger and bigger and have more and more and more. And it's just Jupiter energy can be pretty greedy. And so maybe you're overconfident, like, I can do this, I can do all these things, and I just want to start this thing over here or start that thing over there. But then nothing gets done. There's not substance, there's not follow through, there's not any results or achievements or fruit. You're planting plants to get vegetables and fruit, not to just have leaves. So, it's good to consider, where are you juggling too many balls in your life? Where are you just greedy, wanting more and more and more, and not satisfied with just a couple goals that you are putting your life force energy into achieving, and maybe where you're, unpractically confident. So maybe those plans and ideas, maybe you need to rethink, like maybe there's too many, or maybe this is not feasible for me this time. So rethinking your plans and ideas is important. So paying attention to the fine print is something huge here. Um, there can also be exaggerated statements or ideas that are not based in reality, not based in fact or logic or the practicalities of life. So it's going to be, important to pay attention to where those things are showing up, for you in your life. Where you're making this statement and it's, way over the top, or, whatever it may be, that is an exaggeration of what is actually fact. And I think that one of my pet peeves is when people exaggerate, when people take a situation and blow it up out of proportion. That makes me mad. It's just talk about what the situation is for what it is. Do not exaggerate it. So where are you over exaggerating? Where are you exaggerating a situation and making a mountain out of a molehill, making a situation a way bigger deal than it needs to be. So the other difficult aspect to Jupiter is Mars opposite Jupiter. And I just want to sing a little song here. Watch how you go on the freeway on Sunday, the 29th. Because what can happen with Mars opposite Jupiter, which also occurs on October 28th, is overexerting yourself. So Mercury is the mind. You have so many ideas, but Mars is action. You are working yourself too darn much. You're overdoing it. You're over asserting yourself, or, like overexerting yourself. Overworking, overextending your energy when your body may need rest, but your ego's like, nope, we have to keep pushing. We have to keep plugging along on this particular goal, but your body is saying, guess what? I need to rest. I need to break. I need to just chill. But your ego is like, nope, I want this, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. I'm just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until I get it, no matter what. Like, overdoing it. Overdoing it. Any difficult aspect to Jupiter is overindulging in that energy. So this eclipse could bring to light, where are you overdoing something in your life? Because on the same day as the eclipse in Taurus, we have Mars making an opposition to Jupiter, inviting us to consider, where are we doing this? Overexerting ourselves. Another part of this aspect is being too arrogant, arrogance and acting impulsive, and acting on our impulses and not thinking what we're going to do before we do it. We do it and then we regret it, or we hurt somebody, or we hurt a relationship, or we burn a bridge, or we attack somebody, or we offend somebody. Where that selfishness that comes to play with this aspect can be destructive and can be a shadow that we need to avoid during this time. Because Mars opposite Jupiter can be vainness, overconfidence. It can be pretty darn selfish. Where we want what we want, we're not going to stop until we have it. We're going to fight people. We're going to attack people. We're going to do whatever we can to get this thing because it is the most important thing in the whole wide world. Well, that's not going to work out for us with an opposition of Mars to Jupiter. So the positive side of this is we have a strong drive and a strong ambition and motivation and determination towards what we want. We can see the future optimistically. We're optimistic towards what we want to achieve in the world, what we want to have happened in our lives, the kind of life that we want. And we're very driven to get this, basically. So we have confidence. We have a lot of confidence, but it's also important to exercise things like humility, becoming humble, knowing that maybe our answer isn't the only answer, or isn't the only correct answer, or it may not be the right answer. So, practicing humility, practicing grace, asking questions. Maybe you don't know the answers, not becoming so vain and self-centered, but becoming selfless. So one sort of negative manifestation of this opposition can be you're bragging or you are cocky. So exercising patience is going to be important, knowing that you cannot have things just instantaneously. You can't have things just by pushing and not giving your body the love and the care that it needs. Like, you can't just, you need food to eat for dinner, you need to stay hydrated. Like honoring your body's needs. I mean, as well as the needs of other people during this time, as well as their needs, and honoring and respecting where they are coming from. Respect your body, your soul. And can we use the drive and determination and focus our will when the soul is calling the shots, not the ego? When the soul is in charge, not the ego. So, it's also important with Mercury opposite Jupiter is understanding the consequences of what we do in the world. Consequences, that, that word in and of itself is neutral. It's a neutral word. So consequences could be you get an ice cream for doing all this hard work, or you get put in jail because you did something against the law. Like, both and consequences are both positive rewards and negative punishments. So becoming aware of the karma that comes from our actions, of what comes out of, if I do this, then this is going to happen to me, or this is how this person's going to respond to me. Cause and effect. So becoming really, really aware of what comes out of, or what will come out of our actions, is going to be super important when we're navigating the waters of this particular opposition. So, being too, brave and assertive at the low level can be arrogance, and it can be aggressiveness. So we need to be mindful of where in your life are you being possibly too overly assertive to where it can be aggressive and in a selfish way. So, so we may need to exercise harmony and cooperation with other people, respecting where they're coming from, their views on things, their opinions, what they want from you, what they need from you, what they think will be best for you, and how to direct your energy. So honoring that and not putting it away, not pushing it away, not ignoring it, not, putting our head in the sand, not tuning it out, but opening up to that energy that they are giving to you, opening up to that advice, opening up to those suggestions, opening up to their needs from you. And it's not about fighting with people. It's not about becoming so competitive where we're fighting people on what they're saying and their opinions and their ideas, because people's opinions are their opinions, and everyone is entitled to their opinion and their viewpoints on this particular thing over here. And let's not try to be defensive or argumentative over people and their expression of their opinions. Instead, let's choose to take the higher route of allowing everyone's opinion a seat at the table. Harmony. Everyone has a chance to speak, and we're all listening, and we're all sharing, and everyone is equal, and everyone has a turn, and we're all singing kumbaya. And with all the polarization going on, that may be difficult to achieve when we have somebody who's super left and super right. You know, those one people from one end of the political spectrum and then another person from the other end of the political spectrum in the same room. How can those people get along and not be argumentative and combative and angry and you know, self-centered. Um, and so, where can we find balance and respect and just the decent openness to what they have to say? So, yeah, so that's I beat that to death. I really, really have. So let's move on to the eclipse. Now, this eclipse, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time discussing it because it's a hybrid eclipse. Hybrid eclipses are eclipses, and I'm pretty sure that this is correct, that occur when, like, we had a hybrid eclipse in April of this year. It was on April 19th and 20th when we had a solar eclipse in Aries, but the nodes were not in Aries and Libra just yet. The nodes were around 4 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio, but that north node was close enough to where the moon was to where it could make for an eclipse, and it's 15 to 17 degrees. So if the moon has to be 15 to 7 degrees away from where the nodes are, either the south node or north node, in order for there to be an eclipse, basically. That's just the astronomical truth. At 15 to 17 degrees maximum. So we had that solar eclipse in April in Aries, but the moon was close enough away from the north node in Taurus. So this eclipse is really the final eclipse in Taurus and Scorpio. It's gonna be a throwback Saturday. It's gonna be sort of putting a finishing touch on all of the lessons and themes that we have been learning with regards to Taurus and Scorpio energies when it comes to our values, when it comes to security and self-love and stability and all these kind of things like that. It's really putting it's like a last ditch attempt. Like, we've already moved on. The nodes are already in Aries and Libra, but we still have this one last eclipse to just finish things up. Like, the sun and moon to the nodes is saying, great work. I can check that off my list now. So, that is what we can keep in mind during the eclipse energy. So this lunar eclipses are big full moons, first of all. So a full moon is when the sun and moon are aligned in the exact opposite signs. A lunar eclipse is a supercharged full moon on steroids, where we can make major full moons at times of releasing and culmination and completion and things coming to a head, things coming to a climax, but it's more karmic. It's much deeper than that, where we're major endings that are not like until the next full moon, but they can be major endings in our lives. And over the next 6 months, we can see those endings and culminations unfolding in front of our eyes in our lives. So, lunar eclipses are when there's something going on astronomically. I'm not going to get into that. I am going to provide a link below in the description so that you can read about the astronomy of the eclipses. So, when it comes to this particular eclipse, this eclipse is occurring at 5 degrees and 9 minutes of Taurus and Scorpio. So the sun is at 5 degrees 9 minutes, and the moon is at 9 degrees 9 minutes of so the sun is at 5 degrees 9 minutes of Scorpio. The moon is at 5 degrees 9 minutes of Taurus. So this lunar eclipse occurs, the exact time is 3:26 p.m. Central Time, 4:26 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you do want to find a time zone converter to find out when this eclipse occurs for your time zone. You put the time in and then convert it to whatever time zone you live on. So, if you have any planets or points between 4 to 4 to like 11 degrees of the fixed signs Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, you will definitely feel and be impacted by this lunar eclipse. So the themes of this eclipse deal with connecting with ourselves on practical levels, enjoying the fruit of our labor, enjoying, what has come out of all the work that we have done during that lunar transit and during those eclipses, which are, checkpoints. Like you have the nodes moving through a given period of signs, and then you have the eclipses as little checkpoints along that path. Like, how are you doing? It's like check-ins. It's like, assessments on how are you coming with the karmic lessons of whatever the nodes are trying to teach you based off of what signs that they're in. So, yeah. So, this can be, um, themes such as earthbound security, like what are our material possessions in our life that we value? Like what do we value in our life? What is truly important to us in our own lives? On an emotional level and on a tangible level. So we're dealing with this polarity here of the simple Taurus. It's just food, it's water, it's your house, it's the roof over your head. It's all those simple material comforts. And Scorpio is the complex, the deeper, darker side of life. The um the the mysteries of life, people's psychologies, the secrets of life, what's hidden in life. All those kind of complex things are corresponding to Scorpio. Taurus is physical wealth, like dollars and coins, and Scorpio is emotional wealth, feeling wealthy inside. It can also relate to health being your wealth, mental, spiritual, physical health being your wealth. Physical security versus emotional security is yet another verses of this particular combination. So this lunar eclipse, this full moon lunar eclipse, I always say full moon or new moon when I'm talking about hybrid eclipses. So we're focusing on what is sustainable, what is good for the long term, what solid structure is good for the long term. We can look at our efforts in the material world during this particular eclipse. And so it's a time to do what nourishes you. What nourishes you or brings you, what makes you feel grounded, what makes you feel at peace inside yourself. Is it a walk in nature? Is it meditation? Is it journaling and writing down your thoughts? Is it, connecting with a family member? Like whatever brings you peace and whatever makes you feel down to earth during this moon is um is something to do during this, eclipse time. So um, you know, maybe maybe it's the side of the spectrum where you've gotten too comfortable. Things are too familiar where you need to shake things up and transform many, many different things in your life. So major endings. Now, 18 months later, there's going to be a follow-up lunar cycle to this. There's going to be a new moon in Taurus 18 months later from this full moon eclipse in Taurus. It's going to be around the same degree as this full moon, so you do want to keep that in mind. So, having gratitude for our material possessions in our life is yet another theme. And then focusing on what's simple that's in your life, of what, brings you peace, basically, what fills up your cup. And so Taurus is peace and stability versus Scorpio, which is instability. It also deals with drama, emotional drama and secrets and all those things and transformation. So not staying the same, not, eating the same meal, loving the same stuffed animals, living in the same house, but change, transformation, risk, the exciting, delicious part of life. Taurus is the yumminess of life, and Scorpio is the delicious, like what is delicious and what is security, but at a deeper, more emotional, primal level. And then there's this opposition also between our personal values versus the values and the energy of other people. So that is all that I would like to say regarding the astrology for this week. I did hope that you found a lot of value out of this information. Maybe you were inspired by this information, or it was uplifting and comforting to hear this information. However you responded to this message, I'd love to hear below in the comment section. And without further ado, I will conclude this video by saying, be well, choose peace, get things done with persistence, and enjoy this week. Bye for now, everyone.